Let me start with a precise definition because the word subscription can mean different things in different contexts. An Azure subscription is a logical container and a billing agreement between you and Microsoft. When you sign up for Azure, a subscription is created automatically. Every single resource you create, every virtual machine, every database, every storage account belongs to a subscription. Azure tracks usage and generates a monthly bill per subscription. Think of it like a phone plan. You have an agreement with a carrier, you use services under that agreement, and you get one bill each month. The subscription is that agreement. Each subscription has a unique identifier, a name you can customize, and a link to a billing account where payment is collected. When you look at your Azure bill, it is broken down by subscription. If you have only one subscription, all your costs appear in one place. If you have multiple subscriptions, each generates its own invoice. For individuals and small teams just starting out, one subscription is all you need. The subscription does two jobs simultaneously, and understanding both is what makes your Azure architecture clean. First, it is a billing boundary. Every subscription gets its own invoice. This matters for chargebacks if your company has 3 departments each with their own budget. Giving each department its own subscription means their Azure spend is cleanly separated on the bill. Finance can allocate costs without you having to manually tag and report everything. Second, and equally important, it is an access boundary. Azure's role-based access control can be applied at the subscription level. You can give a developer team full contributor access to the development subscription and zero access to the production subscription. The two environments are completely isolated from an access perspective. This combination, separate billing plus separate access, is why most professional Azure setups use multiple subscriptions rather than putting everything in one. Subscriptions also have per resource quota limits. For example, each subscription has a maximum number of virtual CPUs per region. If you hit that limit, you request an increase from Microsoft or spread workloads across subscriptions. Once you understand that a subscription is both a billing and an access boundary, the question becomes, when should you use more than one? The most common pattern in professional environments is one subscription per environment. You create a development subscription, a staging subscription, and a production subscription. This gives you 3 very clean separations. Developers have full access to dev, limited access to staging, and no access to prod. Billing is separated so you know exactly what each environment costs. And a misconfigured resource in dev cannot accidentally affect production because they are in entirely different subscriptions. For larger organizations, a common pattern is one subscription per product team. The payments team gets a subscription, the search team gets a subscription, the user profile team gets a subscription. Each team manages their own Azure resources independently and is accountable for their own costs. The warning here is, do not go overboard. Each subscription adds management overhead. You need to configure networking, access policies, and monitoring separately for each one. Start with 3 environments: dev, staging, prod, and only add more when you have a clear specific reason. When you have many subscriptions, managing them one by one becomes impractical. That is where management groups come in. A management group is a container that holds multiple subscriptions. You can nest management groups inside each other to create a hierarchy that mirrors your organization. At the top sits the root management group, which every subscription in your tenant belongs to automatically. Below that you create groups for divisions, departments, or teams. The power of management groups is that policies and access controls applied at a group level cascade down to every subscription inside it. So if your security team wants to enforce a policy that says no Azure resource in any production subscription can have a public IP address, they apply that policy once at the production management group level. It automatically applies to every subscription in that group, present and future. For small teams with 2 or 3 subscriptions, management groups are unnecessary complexity. But for enterprises managing dozens or hundreds of subscriptions, they are the only way to maintain consistent governance without repeating configuration work across every subscription manually. Azure Cost Management and Billing is a free built-in service that gives you full visibility into your cloud spend. You do not pay extra for it, and it is available to every Azure account. To find it, search for Cost Management and Billing in the Azure portal search bar. The interface has several key sections we will walk through. The overview shows your current month spend compared to the previous month and a forecast for where you will end up by the end of the billing period. If you are tracking toward a number higher than expected, you see it here immediately. One feature that surprises people is that Azure Cost Management can also show costs from AWS and Google Cloud in the same interface. If you are running a multi-cloud environment, you can get a unified view of your total cloud spending across all providers in one dashboard. The most important thing to understand is that cost management shows you costs with a delay of roughly 8 to 24 hours. You are not seeing real-time spend, you are seeing spend from earlier today or yesterday. This is fine for budget monitoring but means you cannot use it to catch a runaway process in real time. Cost analysis is the most useful page inside cost management. This is where you actually investigate what is costing money. The page shows an interactive chart of your spending over time. By default, it shows the current month. You can switch to a custom date range, last 90 days, last year, whatever you need. The real power is in the grouping and filtering options. You can group costs by service type. This shows you that virtual machines cost this much, storage costs this much, bandwidth costs this much. You can group by resource group. This shows you exactly what each of your project environments is costing. You can group by location, useful if you want to see whether your East US or West Europe deployment is more expensive. And if you use tags consistently, you can group by tag. This enables team-level cost allocation where each team's resources are tagged with their team name. Switch to accumulated cost view when you want to see whether you are tracking above or below your monthly budget. It shows a running total that you can visually compare against a target line. Export any view as a CSV for finance reports or checklists. Setting up a budget alert is the single most important thing you can do when starting with Azure. Do this before you create any resources. In Cost Management, click Budgets, and then Add. Give the budget a name, choose the scope, usually a subscription or a resource group, set the reset period to monthly, and enter your spending limit. For learning and experimentation, something like $50 is a safe starting point. Now add alert conditions. I recommend 3, at 50% of budget, at 75%, and at 100%. For each alert, enter one or more email addresses. You can notify your whole team if you want. There is also a forecast alert. This is different from a threshold alert. A forecast alert fires when Azure predicts that your spending trajectory will exceed the budget before the month ends, even if you have not hit it yet. It is an early warning system. For advanced users, budgets support action groups, automated responses when a budget is hit. You can trigger a Logic app or Azure function that automatically shuts down non-critical resources when you hit 100% of budget. This is how teams prevent runaway costs entirely. Before you deploy anything significant, use Azure's 2 free cost estimation tools. The Azure Pricing Calculator is at azure.microsoft.com/pricing/calculator. You add services to a scenario, pick a virtual machine size, a database tier, a storage amount, configure the details, and the calculator shows you an estimated monthly cost. You can build out an entire architecture estimate before spending a single dollar. This is genuinely useful for project planning. Before you propose a new Azure workload to your team or manager, build a pricing calculator estimate so you can say with confidence that it will cost approximately this amount per month. The total cost of ownership calculator is different. It is designed to answer the question, what am I actually saving by moving from on-premises to Azure? You input your current on-premises environment, number of servers, storage capacity, network equipment, and it calculates the full cost including hardware, electricity, cooling, data center floor space, IT labor, and software licensing. Then it shows you the equivalent Azure cost. The difference is your potential saving. For developers proposing cloud migrations to business stakeholders, this calculator is a powerful tool. Let me give you the 5 strategies that have the biggest impact on Azure costs for development teams. First, right sizing. Many teams deploy a large VM and never revisit whether they actually need that size. Azure Advisor, a free built-in tool, analyzes your resource utilization and recommends downsizing resources that are consistently underutilized. Switching from a 4-core VM to a 2-core VM can cut that resources cost in half. Second, reserved instances. If you know you will run a specific VM size or database tier for a year or more, reserve it. A 1-year reservation saves around 40%. A 3-year reservation saves up to 72% compared to pay-as-you-go pricing. Third, spot VMs. Azure has unused capacity sitting in data centers. Microsoft sells access to this capacity at up to 90% discount, with the caveat that Azure can reclaim it with 30 seconds notice. Perfect for batch processing, CI/CD pipelines, and dev workloads. Fourth, auto shutdown. Configure your development and test VMs to shut down automatically at 7 p.m. and start again at 8 a.m. You eliminate 16 hours of billing on a VM that nobody is using anyway. Fifth, hunt for orphaned resources. When you delete a VM, the disk attached to it is not automatically deleted. Those disks keep billing you. Same with reserved public IP addresses, unused load balancers, and empty app service plans. Let me close with a quick summary of everything we covered in this topic. An Azure subscription is simultaneously a billing container and an access control boundary. Use both of those properties deliberately. The standard pattern for professional teams is separate subscriptions per environment: development, staging, and production, so that costs and access are isolated by design. When you grow to managing many subscriptions, management groups let you apply policies and governance rules across all of them at once without repeating yourself. Azure Cost Management is your financial dashboard. Cost analysis shows you exactly what is spending money and where. Budgets and alerts are your safety net. Set them up immediately, before anything else. The pricing calculator helps you estimate costs upfront. And the 5 optimization strategies: right sizing, reserved instances, spot VMs, auto shutdown, and deleting orphaned resources are where real cost savings come from in practice. In topic 5 we move into identity. We will cover Azure Active Directory, now called Microsoft Entra ID, which is how users, developers, and services authenticate in Azure. It is the backbone of security across everything we have built so far. See you in the next video.